What if I told you that the life you are chasing is already waiting for you to slow down? What if the reason you feel tired is not because you are weak, but because you are trying to become someone you are not? You wake up every day doing more, proving more, explaining more, yet feeling less peace, less clarity, less power. Stay with me. Because when you watch this, you will realize something quietly dangerous. You were never meant to chase approval. You were meant to move with authority. You are not becoming a queen. You already are one. You simply forgot how queens live. And today, we remember. 1. Begin the day in silence, not stimulation. The morning is not just the start of another day. It is the quiet gateway to yourself. The space where the world has not yet crowded in. Where your mind is still a blank canvas. Yet so many women rush into the day, reaching for their phones, their news, the endless chatter of the world before they even hear the voice inside. But what if, for just a moment, you stopped? What if you let the world wait, while you return to the stillness that exists within you? Silence is not emptiness. It is not the absence of life or sound. Silence is a presence that reminds you that you are more than the tasks you accomplish, more than the opinions you manage, more than the endless expectations pressing in from every side. When you begin the day in silence, you are telling yourself that your inner life matters. You are setting a tone for your entire day that is not reactive but reflective. You are choosing to listen first before you speak, to feel first before you act. There is a strange power in this quiet. It sharpens perception, deepens awareness, and reminds the soul that it is alive. In this quiet space, the mind loosens its grip on fear, on judgment, on comparison. You realize that your value is not measured by productivity, by the opinions of others, or by how busy you can make yourself appear. It is measured by presence, by the moments you allow yourself to simply be. And in that stillness, you begin to notice subtleties you might otherwise miss. The soft light of the morning spilling across your room, the way your breath moves through your body, the small stirrings of hope and possibility you had forgotten. These are not trivial things. They are the invisible currents that carry you through life, if only you pause to feel them. Begin the day in silence, not stimulation, and you reclaim the one thing the world cannot take from you, your clarity. And once clarity has taken root, it becomes impossible to move through the day the same way again. But clarity alone is not enough, because presence must meet motion. 2. Move the body with awareness, not punishment. Movement is not just exercise. It is the body's way of remembering itself, of communicating with the soul. Yet so often, women approach their bodies with punishment, as if weight or shape were a debt to be paid, as if sweat and pain alone could buy worth. But the body does not respond to judgment, it responds to attention, to care, to conscious presence. When you move the body with awareness, you are telling yourself that it is not an object to be disciplined, but a temple to be honored. Every step, every stretch, every breath taken in motion becomes an intimate conversation between your physical being and your inner world. You begin to notice how each movement affects not just your body, but your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Walking with awareness transforms a simple stroll into meditation. Stretching with intention becomes a ritual of self-respect. And when the body moves consciously, it carries the mind with it. Anxiety loosens, tension unwinds. The heart begins to beat not in fear or obligation, but in rhythm with life itself. Awareness transforms exercise from a chore into a dialogue. You start to understand the delicate relationship between discipline and gentleness, between pushing forward and allowing space, between effort and ease. Yet awareness is patient. It does not rush. It does not demand immediate results. It whispers that strength is not in striving, but in listening. The way the body moves, mirrors the way the mind must move. Slowly, deliberately, fully. Every stretch, every step, every breath becomes a lesson in how to carry yourself through the day. Calm, grounded, and unshakable. And here lies the quiet paradox. The more you honor the body, the stronger the soul becomes. Movement with awareness teaches patience, presence, and the truth that care is more transformative than punishment. But even as the body awakens, the mind often whispers, impatience, anxiety, fear, and here breath becomes the bridge between inner stillness and outward action. 3. Breathe before you react. Breath is the silent anchor in the storm of life. Yet so often, women rush into reactions, words, emotions, decisions, without the simplest, most profound act of all, breathing. A breath is not merely oxygen entering the lungs, it is a pause, a space, a momentary return to yourself before the world demands an answer. To breathe before you react is to honor your inner authority. It is to recognize that your first instinct is not always your wisest. That moment before words escape, before tension tightens, before frustration boils. In that space, you reclaim your power. One conscious breath slows the heart, steadies the mind, and clears the fog of emotion. One conscious breath reminds you that you are not your anger, your fear, your impatience. You are the observer, the quiet witness of your own life. Every conflict, every stressful encounter, every sudden disappointment becomes an opportunity to practice this sacred pause. Each breath is a gentle assertion, I will respond, not react. I will act, not be swept away. And as you breathe, you discover a rhythm in life itself, one that is neither frantic nor forced, but graceful, flowing, inevitable. Breathe deeply enough, and you realize that life is rarely as urgent as it seems. The problems that seemed monumental shrink in the space of a calm exhale. The fears that felt suffocating dissolve with intentional inhalation. And in this breathing, there is a quiet miracle, a return to clarity, to dignity, to power. Yet this is only the beginning, because once you learn to pause, to honor the silence of the morning, to move with the body, and to breathe before you act, you realize something. The world itself begins to shift around you. But the true transformation, the one that will make every other habit inevitable, comes from what you do next. 4. Protect your energy like sacred ground. Energy is the currency of life, yet so many women spend it recklessly, giving away fragments of themselves to people, tasks, and situations that do not honor them. There is an invisible power in recognizing that your energy is sacred, an inheritance from your soul, not something to be traded lightly. To protect it is not selfishness, it is wisdom. It is a quiet assertion that you are worthy of your own care. Every encounter, every conversation, every thought you entertain draws from this unseen reservoir. When you allow negativity, gossip, or judgment to flow in, you deplete yourself without noticing. But when you protect your energy, you create boundaries that are not walls of separation, but gates of discernment. You begin to understand that not everyone is entitled to your time, your attention, your vibration. It starts with small choices, saying no when it feels right, stepping away when it is necessary, pausing before giving. Energy protection is subtle, yet radical. It teaches you that your presence is powerful, and it must be conserved for what truly matters. And the more you honor your energy, the more the world responds to you with the same reverence you give yourself. There is a rhythm to this protection. It is not rigidity, it is a dance of awareness. When you feel drained, you withdraw. When you feel uplifted, you engage. Your life becomes a series of intentional alignments rather than accidental exhaustions. And as you hold this sacred ground within yourself, you discover a remarkable truth. The quieter and more intentional you are, the more magnetic your presence becomes. And this realization, you begin to see another truth. one that requires even deeper courage. Because protecting your energy leads inevitably to mastering how you express it. 5. Speak less, mean more. Words are potent. They are not merely sounds, they are seeds. Yet so often, women speak without intention, scattering their energy into the world in ways that dilute their power. To speak less, but mean more, is to cultivate a language of authority that comes from presence rather than volume. It is an art of restraint, a reflection of self-possession, a subtle command that others cannot ignore. Every word you release carries weight. When you choose them carefully, you convey not just information, but confidence, clarity, and integrity. Silence is not absence. It is the backdrop against which your words resonate. And when you speak from this place, people listen differently. They feel the gravity in your voice, the wisdom behind your pauses, the authority in your restraint. Speaking less also teaches discernment. You learn to distinguish between what must be said and what can be left unsaid. You discover that some battles are not worth engaging, some opinions not worth defending, and some moments better honored with quiet observation. And in this careful selection, your words become rare gems, priceless because they are intentional. The paradox of meaningful speech is simple, yet profound. The more you hold back, the more power you release. And as you cultivate this skill, your life begins to mirror it. People respond to you not because you demand, but because you exemplify clarity, confidence, and self-respect. And in this clarity, a subtle tension arises. A tension that teaches you the next step in mastery, knowing how to balance restraint with decisive action. 6. Choose discipline over mood. Life is not a gentle stream that bends to your desires. It is a river that tests the strength of your resolve, the consistency of your attention, the depth of your discipline. Choosing discipline over mood is a radical act of self-respect. It is deciding that your inner compass matters more than the passing whims of emotion, more than fleeting comfort or frustration. Discipline does not suppress feeling, it channels it. It teaches you that motivation is unreliable, that moods are temporary, but that daily commitment is eternal. When you act from discipline, you honor the long-term vision of yourself, even when your present self protests, doubts, or hesitates. The choices you make today, grounded in discipline, echo through your life in ways that no momentary feeling could predict. This practice is subtle, yet transformative. It requires patience, consistency, and a quiet but unwavering dedication. When you choose discipline over mood, you begin to notice the invisible patterns of your life, how every small act compounds, how every ignored temptation leaves space for growth, how every intentional step forward strengthens not just your body and mind, but your sense of self. Yet discipline is not rigid. It is a rhythm between firmness and flexibility, between persistence and surrender. It asks you to show up for yourself, even when the heart says wait, even when comfort whispers pause, because the soul knows the worth of action. And as you embody this rhythm, the world begins to bend, not because it owes you, but because you have learned to move in alignment with your inner authority. And in this alignment, you discover a truth that connects all the habits so far: protecting your energy, speaking with meaning, choosing discipline. These are not isolated acts. They are threads in a larger tapestry of presence, power, and self-realization. But even mastery of these threads only opens the doorway to something greater, something that awakens the deepest layers of influence and inner peace. 7. Observe people without explaining yourself. There is a certain freedom in watching the world without trying to justify your presence within it. So often, women feel the need to explain their choices, their feelings, their very being, as though someone else's understanding validates their existence. Yet life is not a courtroom, and you are not on trial. Observation without explanation is not withdrawal, it is mastery. To observe is to see beyond surface appearances. It is to notice the subtleties in tone, gesture, and intention that often go unnoticed. It is to understand that every person carries a story, a wound, a dream that is entirely their own. And when you observe without explaining, you release yourself from the exhausting labor of constant approval. You learn to measure your worth by your own perception, not by the reflection in someone else's eyes. This practice is gentle yet powerful. When you allow yourself to simply witness, the mind begins to quiet, judgments soften, reactions lose urgency. You begin to realize that many of the conflicts, anxieties, and pressures you once carried are not yours to bear. They belong to others, not to you. You are no longer compelled to rescue understanding from every misunderstanding. And paradoxically, the more you step back, the more people step closer, not because you demand attention, but because presence attracts presence. There is a magnetic clarity in restraint, in the calm acceptance that you are enough without constant explanation. Yet observation alone is incomplete if it does not extend to your own vessel, your body, your mind, your spirit. Awareness of others must meet awareness of self, which is why the next step becomes essential. BRE8. Nourish the body with respect. Your body is not simply a vessel. It is the living proof of your existence, the temple through which your energy flows and your intentions manifest. Yet so often, women treat their bodies as a battlefield, a problem to be solved, or a project to be perfected. Nourishing the body with respect is the quiet revolution that transforms life from effort into grace. To nourish is not just to feed, it is to honor. It is to listen to what the body actually needs, rather than what external standards demand. Food, movement, rest, and touch become sacred acts, not obligations. Each choice is a conversation. I see you, I hear you, I care for you. And in this conversation, the body responds with vitality, calmness, and clarity. Respecting your body also teaches boundaries. It reveals the subtle interplay between what serves you and what drains you. The meals you eat, the water you drink, the sleep you honor, the space you carve for stillness, all become acts of self-reclamation. Nourishment is not indulgence, it is empowerment. And as the body gains strength, the mind gains clarity. The energy once scattered on judgment, comparison, and self-criticism is now available for creation, reflection, and presence. The vessel aligns with the soul, and your life begins to move with a quiet, effortless authority. But nourishment is only fully realized when paired with presence, with awareness, and with the gentle art of pausing to reflect. To be fully alive, you must also know how to create space between thought and action. 9. Create space between thought and action. The mind is a restless river, constantly swirling with ideas, fears, and judgments. Without pause, it spills over into action, often carrying with it reactions that are misaligned with wisdom and intention. Creating space between thought and action is the discipline of conscious living. It is the art of stepping back just enough to choose the path that honors your inner truth. This space is not emptiness. It is a sanctuary where observation, discernment, and reflection meet. In that pause, you can ask, does this choice serve me? Does this action reflect who I am? Does it honor my energy, my words, my discipline? And in the asking, clarity emerges. The impulse to react unconsciously diminishes, replaced by a deliberate rhythm that aligns with purpose. When you create this space, life begins to unfold with grace rather than chaos. Relationships respond differently. Challenges are met with composure rather than tension. Your decisions carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are measured. You learn that every action, no matter how small, carries the potential to shift your life profoundly when chosen intentionally. Yet this space is not static, it is dynamic, alive, and continuous. It reminds you that mastery is not a destination but a practice, one that builds upon every other habit: silence in the morning, movement with awareness, conscious breathing, energy protection, meaningful speech, disciplined action, observation, and nourishment. And as you step into this space, you discover a subtle but profound truth. Life responds not to urgency, but to presence. And this presence, this deliberate pause, sets the stage for the next evolution of mastery, the quiet, transformative power of letting go and choosing what is truly yours. 10. Detach from what you cannot control. Life carries a subtle tension between what is within your reach and what is not. So often women exhaust themselves by gripping too tightly to outcomes, to other people's opinions, to the endless currents of circumstance that swirl around them. Yet mastery begins with a simple, quiet recognition: some things are never yours to control. Detachment is not indifference. It is not coldness or resignation. It is the deep understanding that your energy is precious, and that investing it in what you cannot shape only drains the very power you need to flourish. When you learn to release the weight of uncontrollable forces, a remarkable freedom emerges, a freedom that allows clarity to rise above chaos and calm to prevail over frenzy. This practice begins with observation. You watch the waves of life without clinging, noticing which situations demand your influence and which belong to another's journey. You learn to respond to your own commitments with intention, and to release the rest without guilt. And as you detach, a curious paradox arises. Letting go does not weaken you. It strengthens the foundation upon which all other habits can stand. By accepting that control is limited, you create space for wisdom, presence, and focus. You redirect your energy from futile struggle to deliberate action, from resistance to alignment. But detachment alone is not enough, because even as you release, life still moves, and the body must remain grounded, attuned, and resilient. 11. Walk slowly. Even when the world rushes, the world moves at a relentless pace. Messages arrive, expectations mount, schedules tighten. There is a whisper, a constant pressure that urges you to hurry, catch up, keep up, outrun, and outdo. Yet mastery, real mastery, is revealed not in speed, but in rhythm. Walking slowly, even when the world rushes, is a declaration that your life will not be dictated by urgency, but by presence. Slowness is not weakness. It is a form of awareness, a practice of deliberate living. Each step taken with intention grounds the mind, steadies the heart, and honors the body. In the slow pace, you begin to notice the details: the color of the sky, the depth of a conversation, the subtle rise and fall of your own breath. Life unfolds fully when you are not racing to catch it, but rather moving alongside it. Walking slowly cultivates patience. It teaches you that value is not in how much you do, but in how deeply you experience. It reminds you that haste often leads to missed moments, misjudged reactions, and unnoticed beauty. And with each measured step, you build resilience. The kind that does not fray under pressure, the kind that meets challenge with grace. Yet slowness requires courage, because the world does not pause for you. It continues its frantic rhythm, judging, comparing, urging you forward. And in choosing your own pace, you confront a silent but profound truth. Life's fulfillment is found not in the chase, but in the intentionality of the journey. This rhythm naturally draws the mind inward to the awareness that guides your next step. 12. Honor your intuition without apology. The quiet voice within is often the most profound teacher, yet it is so easily ignored amidst the noise of obligation, expectation, and doubt. Honoring your intuition without apology is the practice of listening deeply to yourself and acting in alignment with that inner knowing, without the need to justify or explain it to anyone else. Intuition is not whimsical. It is the distilled wisdom of experience, reflection, and presence. It speaks in whispers and subtle nudges, guiding you toward what nourishes your soul and away from what depletes it.